Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2, kicking off a new week. Happy Monday. I'm Sandra Gumansing. In our top story, we have updates on last week's arrest of Bureau of Corrections officers. BOC Director Rick Margrove responded to a request for comment from News 2 with some clarifications, as well as how he plans to combat the persistent problem of contraband within the territory's prison. News 2's April Knight has that story.
Bureau of Corrections Director Rick Margrove sheds more light on the federal arrest of corrections officers last week. Wahida Ali, 32, Abdul Robinson, 38, Patrick Richards, 41, and Eustace Roper, 51, were arrested on Wednesday after the U.S. Attorney's Office filed complaints charging all defendants with varying counts of providing contraband in prison, promoting dangerous prison contraband, and conflict of interest. Margrove said he was aware of the federal investigation on these 4 individuals in particular, but declined to reveal specifics of the investigation. He did clarify that only 2 of the 4 were still actively involved with the Corrections Bureau at the time of the arrest. Margrove, who was appointed by Governor Mapp in July of 2015, said he knew contraband smuggling was a problem in the prison system, but not its extent.
I mean, nobody can be fully aware of the extent until you actually get in here and see it for yourself. You know, I was aware that it did exist, but you learn more and you uncover everything from, day to day, so you learn more as you go along.
But the more important question now is how to curb this widespread problem. Director Margrove shared some ideas on how he plans to solve this issue that has plagued many other directors before him.
I'm sure that a lot of things have been tried, but the actions that we're taking at this present time are going to be hopefully they'll be a lot more effective than anything that anybody has done in the past. We're actually going to install a perimeter fence around the buildings, and we're going to improve security at each one of the entrances of the facilities itself coming in and out of the buildings. Again, these things cost money, so it's taking time in order to acquire the funds to do these things, but they're definitely in the planning phase right now. One of my priorities, as I've made very clear, is security and safety.
The BOC will continue to work with federal authorities in contraband smuggling investigations, according to Margrove. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
In other news, on Saturday, March 5th at approximately 11:33 a.m., the 911 Emergency Center received notification from several citizens reporting shots fired in the area of Simmons Alley. Officers located an individual fitting the description received by citizens. During an encounter with officers, the suspect was injured and received medical treatment. After being transported to the Schneider Regional Medical Center, he later succumbed to his injuries. The suspect was identified by his next of kin as Evan Ezekiel Joseph, 38, of Altona, St. Thomas. The department expressed its remorse and sympathy to the relatives of the suspect in this incident. In a release statement, it read, "We would also like to express that we are glad that no other individuals were injured during this matter. We express our concern for our officers. However, none of our officers favor having to use force, especially force resulting in death or serious injuries. We would like to assure the community that we intend to conduct a fair, impartial, and thorough investigation of this incident. The community and the department, having little tolerance for violent activity, will act when necessary to ensure our officers and innocent members of our community or visitors are safe and protected from harm." This case is presently under investigation by the department's Force Investigation Team. Also on Thursday, March 3rd at 10 p.m., officers traveled to the Roy Lesher Schneider Medical Center in response to a shooting victim. According to the victim, he had just left a party at roughly 9 p.m. in the Parham-Pearson housing community when he heard the sound of a single gunshot. Shortly after, he realized that his right calf felt numb and that he'd sustained a single gunshot wound to his right calf. On Thursday, March 3rd, at 1:45 p.m., in other news, Brett Kimmelman, 44, of El Tuque, Puerto Rico, was arrested and charged with possession of stolen property of an arrest warrant issued by the magistrate of the Superior Court for a burglary that took place at Saga Haven Marina in March 2013. Bail for Brett Kimmelman was set at $1,000. Unable to post bail, he was remanded to the Bureau of Corrections. Some 25 non-custodial parents were slapped with local and federal penalties after failing to pay up their child support obligations. Attorney General Claude Walker said that these parents were given a grace period. Now they're losing more than just their VI driver's licenses. Here's more.
There's a reciprocal action that's taken at the federal level, specifically that the passports for such persons are revoked as required by federal law. There are also federal criminal laws pertaining to child support. And the federal government has access to our database where they can see the arrearages and can take action pursuant to the laws that they have on the books.
Due to ongoing WAPA water issues affecting Elena Christian Junior High, John H. Woodson Junior High, and Central High School, these three schools were dismissed earlier today. Buses were dispatched to the schools to begin picking up students to transport them to their usual drop-off location. WAPA is working to resolve the issue. On Friday, we reported on the early dismissal of both Central High School and Elena Christian Junior High School due to WAPA water service interruptions. Count on two to keep you updated. For a globally successful tech company headed by Virgin Islanders, Monday was not just the opening day of their expanded St. Thomas offices. They also said they're taking a more community-conscious role, bringing the state-of-the-art technology that they produce for global clients, including the federal government, to the local community. News April 9th has more.
Two Virgin Islanders are bringing state-of-the-art closer to the VI community. Crucians Ian Tomlinson and Reginald Vigilant started their IT business Omni Systems 22 years ago, and that business has taken them all around the world. But according to both entrepreneurs, they got their start right here at home.
So we started at UVI, got degrees at UVI, but went to the mainland to do graduate studies. And actually, a lot of what we learn about computing, we learn here in the territory.
Tomlinson and Vigilant say young Virgin Islanders can do the same. Keep up with the rapidly changing world of information technology with proper mentorship and instruction.
And we realize that the Virgin Islanders have the talent to be able to do this work, which is what we do for the federal government. And so in coming back and being more into the community, we hope to develop the next generation of technology folks.
As part of their effort to reach out to the community, they're holding a technology expo that goes on from Monday until Wednesday.
We have here some of the technologies that we use and sell and to our customers, like the federal government. We have some of our partners here, Dell, Gen 2, Micropack, and their representatives here.
With the age of technology changing the business landscape, Tomlinson said taking advantage of that can solve the problem of brain drain. Virgin Islanders, he said, no longer need to look for greener pastures outside of the territory.
Smart kids have to leave the island in order to expand their horizons. Well, with technology, that can be done here, and keep that knowledge here in the territory and help the local citizens.
For News 2, I'm April Knight.
The latest poll numbers suggest Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are poised for sweeping primary wins this week in Michigan. 57% of those surveyed came out for Clinton in the NBC News Wall Street Journal Marist poll, while 40% said they would vote for Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. Trump picked up 41% of voters' support in the primary compared to Texas Senator Ted Cruz's 22%. Cruz, however, does top Trump among voters who identify themselves as very conservative, taking that group 43% to 30%. Florida Senator Marco Rubio garnered 17% support, and Ohio Governor John Kasich picked up 13%. The poll was conducted in part before neurosurgeon Ben Carson dropped out of the GOP presidential race. Condolences continue to pour in as the world mourns the death of former First Lady Nancy Reagan. John Lornick reports.
Nancy Davis Reagan, one of the most influential First Ladies of the 20th century, died Sunday morning at her home in Los Angeles at the age of 94. The cause of her death was congestive heart failure. Politicians were among the many saddened by her death. From the White House, President and Mrs. Obama honored Reagan in this statement. Our former First Lady redefined the role in her time here. Later, in her long goodbye with President Reagan, she became a voice on behalf of millions of families going through the depleting, aching reality of Alzheimer's. Former President Bill Clinton also released a statement. Hillary and I were deeply saddened to learn of Nancy Reagan's passing. We join all Americans in extending our prayers and condolences to her beloved children and her entire family during this difficult time. Several presidential candidates took to social media to offer their condolences. Ted Cruz tweeted, "Nancy Reagan will be remembered for her deep passion for this nation and love for her husband, Ronald. The Reagan family is in our prayers." Also on Twitter, Donald Trump, "Nancy Reagan, the wife of a truly great president, was an amazing woman. She will be missed." Bernie Sanders, "No matter your party or political ideology, this is a sad day for America." And Marco Rubio, "Today our nation mourns the loss of Nancy Reagan, a true example of integrity and grace. My prayers are with the entire Reagan family." Mrs. Reagan will be buried at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in Simi Valley, California, next to her husband, Ronald Wilson Reagan, who died on June 5th, 2004. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
And keeping our eye on the economy, let's take a look at the New York Stock Exchange with our Stock Market Watch. According to the numbers there, the Dow up 67, NASDAQ down 8, S&P 500 up 1. Coming up on News 2, time for our VI History and Women's History quiz. Who was the first female Senate president? And who served the longest period of consecutive terms, starting in 1983 until her retirement in 2007? The answer is coming up. Welcome back. A Coast Guard boat crew rescued a Belgian boater Friday morning from a grounded sailing vessel east of Buck Island, St. Croix. Coast Guard watchstanders in Sector San Juan received that call at 6:05 a.m. Friday from a bystander who reported a flare sighting. A Coast Guard boat crew from Boat Forces St. Croix aboard a 33-foot special purpose craft law enforcement vessel and a Coast Guard rescue helicopter were launched to investigate the report. The operator of the sailing vessel claimed that he was transiting from Antigua to Cuba and that he had shot the flares after the vessel had run aground. There were no signs of pollution coming from the grounded vessel. Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett is holding small business seminars in conjunction with the U.S. Small Business Administration. Local businesses are encouraged to attend to learn about opportunities for business growth in the VI. The seminars will be held on March 6, 9 a.m. to noon at the March 9th, at the Small Business Development Center at Niski Center, St. Thomas, and then March 10th from 9 a.m. to noon at the Small Business Development Center at Scion Farm Shopping Center on St. Croix. The Virgin Islands Public Finance Authority Board has named attorney Joanne Bozzuto as its Director of Finance and Administration. Bozzuto has extensive public and private sector experience. In addition to her legal background, is also a certified public accountant. Governor Kenneth Mapp, who by law serves as the PFA chairman, said he can think of no one better qualified to serve at the Public Finance Authority at this time, given the Mapp-Potter administration's very ambitious agenda for economic development and infrastructure upgrades. Bozzuto grew up on St. Thomas and studied criminal justice and accounting at South Florida University before graduating cum laude from Fordham University School of Law in New York. Top officials of the Department of Labor recently received at least $10,000 in raises. This was revealed before the Senate Committee on Education and Workforce Development on Friday. Labor Commissioner Catherine Hendry's salary was raised from $95,000 to $107,000. Assistant Labor Commissioner Kendra Roach's salary was also increased from $85,000 to $95,000. No other employees were given raises, according to Roach, who also said their raises were ordered by Governor Kenneth Mapp. Committee Chairman Gene Ford expressed concern that those at the top are getting raises while rank-and-file employees are not being rewarded at all. The St. John Dial-A-Ride Transportation and Supportive Services Program is managed by the St. John Community Foundation. Senator Senate Vice President Jeanette Millen-Young applauded the ribbon-cutting and dedication ceremony that was held this past Friday on St. John. Senator Millen-Young stated that seizing the opportunity provided by the VI Housing Finance Authority through the Community Development Block Grant Program, the St. John Community Foundation stepped up and filled a need in their community through the CBDG funds. They were able to purchase a 2016 Ford Expedition all-wheel drive vehicle with a Bruno Valley chair that provides easy access for disabled individuals. This now allows them to traverse to areas where their van could not. It's time to fill the boot for the American Red Cross. As part of the Red Cross Month celebration, the VI chapter invites the community to support their traditional fundraising campaign to help families affected by disasters and emergencies. This year's event will take place simultaneously on Saturday, March 12th from 9 a.m. to 3. Volunteers from the American Red Cross will be accompanied by firefighters from the VI Fire Services to receive donations in the following intersections: Sunny Isle intersection on St. Croix, Basin Triangle, Five Corners, and Christiansted Bypass. On St. Thomas, it's Fort Christian Parking Lot, Mandela Circle, Wheatley Center, and Tutu Park Mall. And then on St. John, it's at the Cruise Bay Dock at the Frank Powell Park. You can give them a call if you'd like to lend a hand. In the regular session of its quarterly meeting on March 5th on the St. Thomas campus, the University of the Virgin Islands Board of Trustees approved 5 new academic degree programs in the business. The board approved a tuition rate increase as well of 5%, which will go into effect in fall semester of 2016. President Hall said that the tuition increase was necessary to address deficit issues for this and next fiscal year, maintain quality programs, and address other operating costs that continually go up. The board also approved a change in the installment plan for the payment of tuition by permitting 4 installments per semester, effective fall semester 2016. On Monday, March 7th, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., architectural students from the AAR HUS School of Architecture will visit middle school students to speak to them about their project and answer the Virgin Islands Department of Public Works in collaboration with the Virgin Islands Legislature and Centennial Commission. They have invited the architectural students from the School of Architecture to visit the Virgin Islands for a 3-week work-study trip from February 19 to March 11, as we reported. Now, they are here helping with the first phase of this very important centennial project, which includes the restoration and transformation of the former Danish barracks in Christiansted St. Croix into an architecture, design, and building arts school. On St. Thomas, the former Danish military hospital in Charles-de-Mali will become the Virgin Islands' first national museum. A group of architectural students from the Royal Danish Academy of Fine Arts are similarly working on St. Thomas at the Old Jarvis School. This restoration project of 2 very significant buildings from the Danish era will create the foundation for the future training of architects, designers, craftsmen, and cultural producers necessary to preserve and promote our unique heritage. In celebration of Virgin Islands History Month and Women's History Month, Senator Tregenza Rhodes shares a special focus on the women of the legislature of the Virgin Islands. In 1954, Mrs. Lucinda Millen, after turning down offers to lead other agencies, chose to run for elected office. Senator Millen won a seat and became not only the first woman legislator, but also one of the first to serve in the unicameral legislature after the revised Organic Act of 1954 unified the municipal legislative districts. The senator added that since then, 21 women have served these islands as senators over the past 6 decades. There were 12 women in the St. Croix district, 7 in the St. Thomas St. John district, and 2 at-large senator. Senator Ruby Rouse was the first female Senate president, and Senator Lorraine L. Berry served the longest period of consecutive terms, starting in 1983 until her retirement in 2007. Several of these remarkable women also ran for the offices of governor, lieutenant governor, and delegate to Congress, although unsuccessfully. Be sure to stick around. Your News to Accuweather Forecast is coming up next.